outdoors midday in the Nevada desert. Why don't you take that first?
It was definitely unusual because for me, I'd never worked outdoors like that before. All the sound escapes up into the air, so it doesn't feel like you're in a building with the reverberation, and like the building almost shakes when the crowd goes crazy. And so it was kind of in the ring was a different environment, definitely.
What about the heat? Was the heat an issue?
Not really. By the time I got in the ring, it was starting to. I think the sun was going down, so it wasn't too bad when I worked with Kurt. Man, I was sitting in the back like a chill pill, man. I was just like, I'm working with Mr. Perfect. His reputation is one of the greatest workers currently in the business. So he was going to lead me through. Man, I was just going to be a little two-step in there. So I knew I felt they'd handpicked for my Wrestlemania debut to work with Mr. Perfect. Oh man, I was excited.
No Wrestlemania jitters?
I was pretty relaxed because I was working with Kurt. I mean, even if you're not a good worker, you're gonna have a decent match with Kurt. He's gonna make you look decent. So I was pretty relaxed for that one. I didn't realize what was gonna happen when we got in the ring until it happened. But so I was in the back and we went over the match a little bit. So I was for my WrestleMania debut, which was exciting, and I'm just thrilled to be in. I was in a very relaxed state working with Kurt. When we got in the ring, we went over the match, we locked up, and he goes, "What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?" I thought, because I heard Kurt was a ribber, like joke with you.
Yes, he was.
So I go, "Come on, Kurt, man, what?" I'm like, "What are we doing?" He goes, "No, man, what are we doing? What are we doing?" He blanked out and forgot the whole match.
Did you remember it?
Pieces of it.
I have to go back and rewatch this now, knowing this. How did it come out?
I was calling the match. Kurt couldn't remember what we'd gone over. Now, me sitting in the back relaxing, I wasn't like going over and over it again, so I was kind of like trying to remember what we did next. And you really don't want to talk through each thing you do as you're throwing a guy off the rope. So, oh man, I got nervous. I went from being really relaxed to really nervous in the ring about 30 seconds in.
He ribbed you.
It was not a rib. If he ribbed me, he pulled it off.
Yeah.
Because he flat out said he blanked, he apologized afterwards, and he seemed so sincere. He'd get an Oscar for Oscar or a Golden Globe if he was acting. He said, "Man, I got all revved up for the match and caffeined up." And he goes, "Man, I got in there, I blanked." He was one of the greatest workers in the business, and he forgot our match at my WrestleMania debut, and I was trying to lead the match.
I hope you didn't hold it against him.
No, not at all. I wasn't upset with him, but I went from being real relaxed to real nervous in the ring all of a sudden.
You're in Sin City for a few days. There have to be some good Las Vegas stories. Bunch of wrestlers in Las Vegas. Before the matches, after the matches.
Yeah, I stayed to myself pretty much.
Were you a quiet guy like that? Do your own thing?
Yeah, at that time I was new, and I didn't have a lot of guys. Once you're in the groove, like a WCW, I ran with the Steiner Brothers and Sting. We'd like to go to the gym. We'd like to eat lots of protein. We had all our common interests. I hadn't really, at that point, established a group of guys that I kind of, when you're on the road, you jump in the rental car with and throw your bags in together. So at that particular event, I was more kind of hanging out by myself.
But you were never a party guy, right?
At that time, no.
Well, we heard, we did a special called Being a Horseman with JJ, where he actually had a book from 1987, and we did 1 week in the life of the Horseman. And we had the hotels, we had the bars, we had the cabs, we had everything. And we were in Bennigan's, and I said, "Okay, we're in Bennigan's, and tell me what drink everyone's holding." And he said, Tully's got a beer, and Arn's a beer guy too. Rick had the Kamikazes, I had my Bacardi and Coke. He said, and Lex was probably standing against the wall with a milk or something like that, or a glass of soda all night long.
Yeah, at that time, I would have a couple of drinks to be sociable and fit in with the guys, but I wasn't a big drinker back then. Definitely not. I didn't have a drink.
Yokozuna beats Brett.
Rick would always order Seabreeze.
For barely a drink.
Yeah.
It was a perfume in a glass.